you would realize that I've never renewed my visa in any company. But once you come to the leadership role, then you have to tell them what needs to be done. There, I was doing a comparative study of the new banks that was coming in to National Bank of Fujairah as a bachelor's. Then I did my master's in business administration with finance and HR, and I did a postgraduate diploma in financial management as well.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, a podcast series by Directors Institute World Council of Directors. I'm Priya George, and today we have the honor of speaking with an extraordinary leader in the field of finance. With over 22 years of experience spanning industries such as real estate, banking, manufacturing, and education, she has proven her expertise in strategic business planning, financial operations, and driving both top line and bottom line growth. Currently serving as a senior partner at Gratiya Advisory, she has also held significant leadership roles at Dubai Investments, Aujan Group, and District 2020, where her financial insights and strategic vision have shaped major projects. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Deepa Varghese to the podcast. Dr. Varghese, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Priya. Lovely to be part of the FaceTime with Leaders. It's been a pleasure that I've been chosen as one of the leaders that you would like to talk to and understand how the finance and strategic insights works or helps other people within the industry. So thank you for having me.
It is our pleasure, Dr. Varghese, and I'm excited to have this conversation with you. So you've had an incredible journey with over 2 decades of experience across multiple sectors. So let's go back to where it all began. What initially sparked your passion for finance and what led you to specialize in financial planning and analysis? We'd love to hear your story.
Okay, it's going to be very funny, Priya, if I tell you, like if I rewind at the age of 15, right? That's when in Indian curriculum you choose the groups that you want to go to. So my dad gave me the 11th standard application form and I went and filled in. I wanted to be a medical doctor. Okay, so I filled in the application. I came and gave it to my dad. All he did was he tore the application into two pieces and he said, go and do commerce and accounting. That was his advice. And
Wow.
when people asked me, how did you react to that? I said, I think he knew me better than myself. And today, so that's how my passion for finance and accounting started. He actually led me into that direction. So I started my commerce and accounts with in my grade 11, and I realized how I had turned from a very below average student till my grade 10 to the topper in the school in grade 11 and 12. And then he guided me to do my bachelor's in commerce from Stella Maris in Chennai. And then the rest is history. I feel that's where he actually built that seed into me to, and like I said, he knew me better than I knew myself.
That is so interesting to hear because coming from the part of the subcontinent where we come from, it's interesting to note that a parent has encouraged you to go in a line which is often not taken. I think engineering, medical seats are more preferred, and this actually really surprised me. And so, thank you for sharing that story with us. It's so inspiring. You've held key leadership roles at major organizations like Dubai Investments, Aujan Group, and District 2020. And each of these roles must have presented unique challenges as well as opportunities. So, could you highlight some of the most significant projects that you led in these companies and how they have helped you shape your approach to financial leadership and strategic decision making?
Okay, Priya, like I said, I think once I moved, so I moved it to Dubai in 2020, sorry, 2000, and from there I started my career as a financial analyst. And if anyone sees my resume, they see that I've literally jumped every 2 years. And in Dubai those days, the employment visa that they give you is for 3 years. Okay,
Right.
so till I reached Aujan, you would notice, you would realize that I've never renewed my visa in any company. Okay. That's only because I've been ambitious. I've always looked to grow in my career. And every step that I moved was at a higher level. Okay.
Right.
And I kind of knew I had that leadership quality in me from probably the time I was young. I've always been in leadership roles, even in university and in college. And so that kind of triggered my ambition to always keep moving ahead in my life. Now, one of the key challenges that I always face is that till probably District 2020, we still had the discrimination of male female, where the male is always given a higher leadership role than a female. They don't. And in the country that I am in, we still have the disparity between the male and female. So that is one of the biggest challenges I have faced. But again, having said that, because I've always come with leadership experience and I'm very good with planning and analysis, the Aujan was where I first started as the head of planning and analysis, wherein they knew that I was able. So I joined Aujan as a senior manager of planning and analysis, and then I got promoted as the head of planning and analysis because they saw that leadership quality in me, and they knew I went above and beyond my just the role, and I used to take up different, like when I did my MBA, it was finance and HR that I did. So that HR people person thing was there in me, ingrained in me. So that kind of helped with a lot of corporate, what is it called, CSR activities that we used to do in Aujan. And that is where they actually moved me to the leadership role in Aujan. So having come to that leadership level, the challenges that you have to face is still then somebody directs you, you just have to follow what you're doing, right? But once you come to the leadership role, then you have to tell them what needs to be done.
Delegate.
So that learning process was a bit of a difficult for me because I was used to doing things myself, and then I not that I didn't trust my team or anything like that. It was a habitual change that I had to bring about myself. So that is something which helped me at Aujan. And obviously, when I moved to District 2020 and Dubai Investments, I moved as head of finance, and it was easier for me to. I didn't have too much of a challenge because I was already trained well from Aujan to do that. The opportunities that I've always had is once I came to that level was to show people that it is what it is. When I'm doing budgeting or when I'm doing analysis, I had to move from this is where you could be to this is where you are, and you need to pull up your socks. You need to. So I started pressurizing people to perform, right? As a role of finance, your role is not just managing the finances, you're protecting the company as well. Your stakeholders are important for you. You have to strike a balance between what the stakeholders want and what is readily available for people to work with. And that balance, I used every opportunity to push people to deliver their best, give them hard targets so that they're able to achieve it. Because when we come to budgeting sessions, before that, I've always noticed, because I've been on the other side, I've always noticed, okay, I can achieve 100, but I don't want to show 100 because I might not. What if I don't achieve? So when I started taking the leadership role, I understood that opportunity and I told them, if you can do 100, I will say you do 150. So that opportunities of pushing people to get what they are capable of doing and driving the leadership to direct them to the direction that they want to go is something that I have learned over the years. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And what my takeaway is from this, the last 1 or 2 minutes that you've spoken is that at a very young age, you were extremely self-aware. Usually, it takes a lot of time because of conditioning for women to understand their true potential. But from a very young age, you displayed those qualities, and that's absolutely commendable. The other thing, my takeaway was the fact that you are able to delegate, because I don't know if it is um, women in general like to be control of everything. So being able to delegate jobs, letting go of things mustn't have been easy, right? I mean,
Absolutely right, Priya. And I like the way you said as women and more as a like I'm a mother of two. So it's even more difficult for me to delegate stuff because when they want something also, you're always trying to provide them, right? You always try to protect them. So even when it is my team, it was the first like at Aujan, it was so difficult for me. Like I used to hand over things and I'm like, okay, guys, it's okay. I'll just do it myself. And they're like, Deepa, what do you want us to do? I was like, okay, I need to learn to just, yeah. But as a woman and as a mother, it's very, very difficult for us to let go. But yes, at some point of time you learn it, and that actually helped me in hindsight. Now when my kids have gone to the university and all that, I know they are safe and sound, and I'm not the micromanaging mother that I in general our mothers are, so they are also happy the way I am. So yes, it has been a very good experience that way. Yeah.
thanks so much for sharing that with
Yeah.
us. So, Dr. Varghese, one of your early career milestones was the launch of the Yaqoot product at the National Bank of Fujairah. And absolutely, that must have definitely been an exciting and transformative project. But could you tell how this particular project, this achievement of yours, impacted your career and how
Okay.
it helped shape the roles you have taken on since? We'd love to
Okay.
hear from you.
So, yeah. So, National Bank of Fujairah was my first job in Dubai. So, I just got married and I moved. And I always say that, and I always believe, not say, I always believe that you're in the right place at the right time. So when people come to me saying they're worried about something, I'll say there's always a right time and a right place for everything. And that is exactly what happened with me with National Bank of Fujairah. It was my first job. They were also setting up the financial analysis team as such. So I joined as a financial analyst there. So National Bank of Fujairah was a corporate bank in the UAE. So Fujairah is one of the emirate in UAE, and National Bank of Fujairah was their corporate bank.
Right.
And they provided retail banking only for people who are living in Fujairah, not outside of
Okay.
Fujairah. But for the rest of the Emirates, National Bank of Fujairah was a corporate bank, and it was a huge corporate bank at that point of time. But that at in 2001, when I joined them, is when there was a lot more of retail banks coming into the limelight. Okay, so National Bank of Fujairah was facing very high competition. So
Okay.
that is when they saw the need for an analyst to come and explain to them where are they going. And a young blood always helps, right? So when I joined there, I was doing a comparative study of the new banks that was coming in to National Bank of Fujairah, understanding what is the gap. Okay. Now, as a principal, National Bank of Fujairah did not want to go into retail banking. But at the same time, because retail banking was becoming very, very popular, they did not want to be losing on the market share as well. So that is why the whole birth of Yaqoot came up. So Yaqoot was basically a retail banking for very, very high net worth Emirati customers in the UAE. Okay, so we had developed, so the product was every retail banking was given to them, but it was a very, very niche product only available for them. So we did still have to brand the tellers or people coming the banking area and everything for these customers, but it was done at a very five-star level. So the whole, when they handed over this project to me and they said that, Deepa, they didn't ask me to take lead on it. I was supposed to assist another person, but it was more to analyze and tell them what is it that the customer needs rather than you tell this is what the customer needs. So my role was more going to, I literally went visiting as a customer to all the other banks within the emirate, found out what each banks were offering to a retail, high net worth retail customer, took a bouquet out of it and created a nice flower bouquet. And I said, this is what we need to present to our high net worth customers, which was, I think that like I was reporting to the general manager of the bank at that point of time. He said this was the only item in the agenda which got ticked off in like 10 minutes because we were so prepared with the presentation and what was the bouquet of services that we're providing. How did that help me in the career? It gave me a confidence that beyond analysis, I could go and deliver projects as well. So, that kind of like, so the next role that I went to was in Varghese Group, which was an education sector here, huge education sector.
Right.
And there I led the project of centralizing purchases. And that I could because Varghese Group, if people are aware of it, it's got like 30, 40 schools in the UAE.
Yes,
And everybody was doing their own purchasing. Okay, whereas the requirements of all the schools are more or less the same. It's just the branding that changes.
Right.
So when I joined Varghese Group after my initial, I think 6, 7, 8 months or something, they handed me this purchasing project where they were looking at conserving cost. And that is why I said that I've done top line betterment and bottom line. And this is one of the area where I've done a bottom line uplift to the organization because we centralize purchases. And by centralizing purchases, we cut cost by almost 18 to 19% because your economies of scale is there. So we use large suppliers. Instead of 10 people going to 10 different suppliers, we zero down on one supplier and say we need huge products, then obviously they'll give us a better discount, right? Which is why I think we saved, if I remember right on top of my head, it's about 18 to 19% of cost savings we had in Varghese Group because of that.
Just that one decision, I think.
One decision of centralizing purchases.
Wow.
Yeah.
What? You did.
Yeah. So yeah, and that is all coming back to the analysis bit, like how much you. It's very easy for us to get into the crux of things and start doing it, but sometimes they say it's always good to just step back, look from the outside, and see are we really. That's why I believe so much in cost benefit analysis. Like sometimes people say that, okay, there's only benefit. There is only benefit. 100% agree there is only benefit, but somewhere there will be a cost associated to the benefit. If that cost outweighs the benefit, then there's no point in doing it. But if the cost is under the benefit, 100% go ahead. I will close my eyes and say it's a no-brainer, just go ahead and do it. So that is what happens there, yeah.
So this is a question which is slightly off script. I wanted to know, so absolutely, like expertise, drive, intent, all these are factors, being at the right place at the right time. How much of a role does luck play in one's career? Like, do you believe in it? And yes, I wanted to.
So personally, you might find me very religious here, Priya, but I don't believe in luck at all. Luck has never favored me, and for that reason, people have forced me to buy these Abu Dhabi, duty-free tickets and Dubai duty-free tickets. When we go to shopping malls, if like the Dubai Shopping Festival, when you go out, lucky draws. 24 years in Dubai, I've never filled one form. And my husband religiously fills the form every single time. For me, I believe it's hard work. Like when the fact that everyone who I have worked with will say that you hand over something to Deepa, then you don't have to look back and see whether she's doing it or not because you know it'll be done. And and I have really had to slog my way out to come in the future. And that is where I want to add one of the things which, if I don't give credit to my husband, it will be very, very bad, or it will look very wrong. Not bad, it will be wrong because in 2001 too, when I was looking to grow in my career, I realized that MBA alone won't do it this part of the country. It's not considered as a qualification, right?
Right.
So when I reached a point where I had a bit of time, so I had my kids and I had a bit of time, I wanted to do the chartered CA from Chartered Institute of Management Accountants UK, and I started in 2011 and I finished in 2018 because I was taking my time because it was three levels and
Lovely.
nine papers and one case study to do. And my husband really supported me in that. And he said, if that is what you need to do, you need to do, right? So I think I restarted my education career in 2011. So if you see my career, I had my bachelor's, then I did my master's in business administration with finance and HR, and I did a postgraduate diploma in financial management as well. So I had two PGs when I came to the UAE, right? In spite of that, they said it is not. And then I started my CMA. And once I qualified, I think even that qualification is one of the main reasons which they gave me in besides the the work performance and everything. The qualification alone gave the company, like for Aujan, the leverage to promote me to a head of finance and planning and analysis. So that is something that and first I finished with SEMA, then I did my CPA in CPA Australia. Then going back to my 15-year-old dream where I wanted to be a doctor, that is what led me to do my doctoral program. And I'm so glad that I'm a doctor right now.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's really nice to hear stories like this, where it's important to be surrounded by the right kind of people, I feel. Uh, and I mean, kudos to your husband. Uh, I can't I can't emphasize how important it is to have an encouraging partner,
And
especially
kids as
for
well,
a
and
woman.
kids as well, like the
Yes.
fact that, see, because I couldn't have compromised on their studies as well, so I used to be up at 2:30 in the morning every single day to sit and study because that was the only time I had. 2:30 to 4:30 is when I used to study, and then 4:30, that's why it took a longer period of time to do my CMA as well. So when I told my family that I want to do doctorate, my husband was like, "Why? Why?" I said, "Devin, this is something I want to do for myself because I've always wanted to be a Dr. Deepa, right?" And so when I very recently finished my thesis, my defense, and literally last week I was in Switzerland because I did it from Swiss School of Business Management. So last week is when I got my scroll. And I came out. So when I finished my defense, my first message from my son was, "I hope it is done." Okay. And my husband immediately wrote back saying she's already enrolled with Directors Institute to do the board program with them. And my
Oh.
son's message was, "You can't sit idle, can't you?" So yes, my kids also were a huge support for me in this journey. But so going back to your question, I don't personally believe in luck. I
Okay.
believe in hard work, and that always pays off. Always pays off.
Thank you for that response. And leading to the second part of your answer, which was how family support, specifically your husband, played such an important role in where you are today. and that's not taking away from the effort and that you
No,
have the drive,
absolutely.
the grit that you have put in.
Yes.
My next question, again, it is off script. I wanted to know, but I
No,
got
it's
the
fine.
answer to that. Like, how did you manage? You were like newly married when you relocated to another country, and then you must have started a family and then juggling career, family, and even the desire to learn more. That was my question.
And it's kind of like I've always been like, so if I have to personally talk, I've been a middle child. So, so my, you always have this middle child
Middle
syndrome
child
where you feel
syndrome.
no one wants you. So, and when I reached my grade 11 and I started doing well in my education, that is when I realized, okay, that's the only way I could get my parents' attention. Okay, so then I was like, then for me, it was no looking back in terms of my education because I was always topping in class and I've always wanted to achieve things. Like I was the best outgoing student of my school. I was the games captain of my school. And that is a funny story I always say because I never played games. I never played games. Okay, so
Okay.
we were three of us who were like, just at the same level in terms of leadership qualities, and just academic level, maybe a 1 point difference between the three of us. So they wanted all three of us to have a leadership role in the school. So one was given the head girl, the other one was the deputy girl, and the third role was games captain, and I got the games captain. And I always tell my kids, in that school, in the history of that school, I'll be the only games captain who never played any games.
The
So that
right
is
place
something.
at the
And
right
and
time.
then when I, sorry, yes, exactly. And then when I went to a college, out of the blue, my friend came and told me you should apply because you're so good with numbers and thing. You should apply for the role of treasurer in the students' union. And I'm like, that they're filled with hostlers, and there's so much of importance given to hostlers than day scholars. So I said, there's no way I'm going to stand a chance at the election. And my friend said, I still remember, she said, there's no harm in trying, right? And she went and put my name for the nomination. Priya, I'm not joking. Out of the six people in the students' union, five of them were hostlers. I was the only day scholar who won the elections.
Wow.
So for me, that's why I said, for me, it is not luck. For me, it is, I've really worked hard to achieve what I want, and I've always pursued my goal. That is better way of saying it. That if I have a target, I know I want to achieve it, and I will work around it to get what I want to achieve. And that is what always has paid, even in my personal life and in my career.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing such personal anecdotes from your life. And it's always encouraging for me as a woman, uh, even if I'm not the one who's gained all the whatever, the accolades, but it still feels so nice.
Feel
It's so encouraging. And yes, so thank you for sharing that with us. Moving on to our next question. Um, During your time at Aujan Group and Dubai Investments, so integrating ESG principles or norms must have also been an important part of the financial and operational decisions that you made. So, how did you ensure that all these ESG considerations were a priority rather than, just an afterthought? We'd love to hear how you balanced financial goals with sustainability and governance in such
so
large
Priya
scale
in
organizations.
Correct. So Priya, in 2000, so in Aujan and Dubai Investments, I never had much of a chance to do the ESG bit. It was more in Aujan, especially, I was more responsible for corporate social responsibility, which is also a bit of a part of the ESG thing. So we've organized a lot of charity programs and labor welfare. Like every Ramadan, we used to go out and distribute food packets to labor camps, and we've organized blood donation camps, and that was more the focus that was
Your
given to me
focus.
in Aujan. But I did a lot of ESG stuff in District 2020 and in my current role. Okay.
Yes.
Now, ESG is still not become mandatory. The reporting of ESG is not become mandatory in the UAE right now, whereas
Okay.
in a lot of European countries, and I think in India also, it is becoming mandatory for companies to report on it. Here it
Correct.
is, it's a nice thing to have. People are talking about it, so we want to be part of it. That is what is happening right now. Whereas it has not become mandatory yet. So in District
Right.
2020, so just to give you a little bit of background of why District 2020, because we were part of the Expo 2020 team. So District 2020 was a legacy of the Expo 2020, which was a huge event that happened in the UAE in 2021, 2022. The reason why it moved to 2021, 2022 was because of the COVID pandemic that happened. And UAE was the only country which was, one of the first countries to be fully vaccinated, and we could have done that. Okay, so one of the biggest initiatives in part of Expo 2020 was renewable energy and recycle of waste. And so
Sustainability.
every day that the waste that was collected was sent to a company. So we had tie-ups with companies which then reproduce those into paper, pencil, t-shirts, and all. We moved away from one-time plastic, and we kept water dispensers all across the site, so that when people were coming in, they didn't have to buy plastic bottles to buy water. They could carry their own bottle and drink from it. We moved from, when you work in organizations, you have, I don't know how it's done in India, we normally hear everyone gets a plastic bottle. Okay, so we moved from that plastic bottle and we said, okay, we make bottles out of glass and give it to every single employee. So there is where I was more initiative to do it. Having said that, in my current role, it's a bit more pragmatic because it's becoming more and more prominent now to do it. And here I am, head of finance and operations. So operations also comes under me. So we ensure that we have renewable energy here. We're not unnecessarily wasting lights. We don't have different bins at each table. We have one bin. So people get up and go and throw the, we collect we segregate the waste that is collected, and all
Right.
the biodegradable goes as manure, all the plastic goes for recycling, and the paper also has gone to recycling. And that, so here is where I feel I'm more contributing. And having said that, that kind of helped me to do a ESG course from the Oxford University last year, which I completed, which then helps me now when we start moving into reporting. I'm able to do that also for my organization. So people are resistant to change, but it's where you push them and make them understand the need for the change, and they are able to do it. So these are the two organizations where I've been able to deliver that in a much larger scale than in previous companies.
Right. Thank you. And it's really inspiring to hear how you managed to integrate ESG into such high level financial decisions. So, thank you for sharing your insights with us. Clearly, with decades of leadership experience and your ability to navigate different landscapes, do you envision yourself stepping into a boardroom role in the near future? And how do you think your strategic insights and expertise in governance and finance would help shape the future of corporate decision making at a board level?
So the ultimate aim is to move into a board role, Priya. So what you come to a stage where you have done everything that you can do as a operations or a financial, like a CFO role, and then you want to move because that then your how do you call it? You curtail your knowledge and everything to just one organization, correct? So eventually, my plan is to enter into a board role where my expertise and my knowledge are spread across different companies, and it's not just facilitated only to one. And the reason why I am aspiring to be a board member is because, like you said, 22 years of experience, starting at a very low level as a financial analyst and moved at every level at a higher level through the knowledge I have gained and the experience that I have gained, I feel I can give a very holistic view to the board that I am in. Okay. So it's not, so for me, it's not just finances. For me, it gives me finance, it gives me HR, it gives me ESG. So I'm able to give a holistic view of what the decision making needs to be done and drive the board to the right direction so that they're not making any drastic decisions, and provide them proper feedback or facts and figures to make, or rather I would say, a well informed decision. And that is
Correct.
where I feel I can contribute my uh, uh, the knowledge that I have gained. The other aspect of it is the strategic vision that I'm able to see. Right. When I sit here, sometimes I feel, okay, I don't see the bigger picture. I see only the smaller picture. So that's when I become a finance person where, okay, we shouldn't be spending this money. We shouldn't be spending this money. And that experience that I'm gaining right now, saying that it's beyond finance. And that is where I give a lot of insistence to cost benefit, right? So sometimes we need to invest to reap the benefits of what would come. So if the board is more aligned to, okay, I need to focus on the bottom line, but sometimes bottom line is not everything. So that is also something that I can provide them with the strategic vision that I have garnered over the last, you know, 10 years plus in leadership roles that I have been. And because I have the analytical background, because I've been more focused on financial analysis and planning and analysis, that also will give the board the overview of what they're looking. And it is not a up in the air decision. So if I'm giving them feedback, it would have been because I would have done my background analysis before I give a make a decision or suggest a recommendation. That is what I think I can bring to the board.
So, again, this question is slightly off script because I just wanted to know, it's kind of related to the earlier question, like, do you envision and what are the strategies in a boardroom scenario? So, what is next for you? Like, do you envision yourself going out, branching out on your own and starting something, or do you see yourself like what's next for you?
So that's one of the biggest disadvantage of being a finance person. No? We become very risk averse. We become very, we don't want to take risk. We don't, I mean, personally, me, I don't take risk. So I would never imagine myself branching out on my own.
Okay,
But what I would want to do is move out from the corporate and get into more board advisory roles.
right.
So be like on a few boards where I can use my. I'm not dead to the brain. My brain is still active, where I can provide, take it a bit more slower, but rather than getting up in the morning, running and getting to work,
Got
I
it.
want to relax a bit and get a few board roles and live the rest of my life, god willingly, on just doing enough to keep myself
Yes.
occupied, but at the same time use my knowledge and experience that I have gained to provide insights to other board members. And that is why I don't want to be associated to any one company
This
board,
one.
because the reason is I feel sometimes when you're within the organization, you don't think beyond it. So when you have a fresh pair of eyes coming in, sometimes you come with ideas which probably they have thought about it, but they don't, they are probably nervous on taking it or doing it, or sometimes they don't even think about it because they're so vested within the organization. So that is why I feel
Nice.
that when you have like a non-exec board director, you're able to provide that direction to the people, provided they're willing to take it also.
Right.
That's a challenge you have because you're not part of the organization. But that is where my convincing skill needs to come in and say that in the future, you will not realize it now, but the bigger picture would be to do this in the future. So, yeah,
So, in
that's
the capacity, correct me if I'm wrong, of like a consultants, like, across different landscapes is what you're aspiring, like in the future, when you said you want to take it slow, work on your own
Correct.
terms.
Yes, which is like probably a stepping stone for me right now, because in the company that I'm right now, it's not a corporate company, it's a consultancy company. It's an advisory company that I'm working for. I'm taking care of the Gratia's finance and operations, as well as clients who come in asking for finance advices or strategic advices. I do that. So for me, this is now laying the ground for me to build into the board role that I'm looking at. So that is why I thought that this is the right time for me to do the board education and get that certification done, so that I will be able to provide that
Excellent.
knowledge and share that knowledge and experience to wider boards available outside of my organization. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for your response, Dr. Varghese. As we wrap up our conversation, I'd love to hear how the programs at Directors Institute have supported your growth, especially in areas like corporate governance and ESG, and how have these insights influenced your leadership approach?
So when I started, see, over the years, what has happened is you start depending on your experience more than your knowledge, right? So when I started the Directors Institute program, the first few modules that I had to do was literally taking me back to what I studied in grade 11. Okay. And then I'm like, oh my God, this was like a good refresher course, because you really don't think about partnership and the different types of companies and the legal structures and all. You've come past all that. But now to do that, they're literally one thing that I liked about that course is they don't jump into what you need to do to be the board member. They start at the lower level, right? They start you from scratch. So that's why when they said there's 20 to 28 modules, and I'm like, but then I'm so glad because they're starting it from the beginning. So you're going step by step and step. I am taking it a little slow because of the timings and the work and everything, but
Right.
it's a knowledge that you are refreshing yourself, which will actually help me in advising the boards correctly in the future. So that definitely it will help me in the future. Yes, for sure.
Thank you so much, Dr. Varghese, for sharing your journey and valuable insights with us today. This interview hardly felt like an interview, and honestly, it felt like a conversation, and definitely entertaining, but more importantly, inspiring for me and many of our viewers out there, especially women, and your insights into financial leadership, corporate governance, your journey across diverse industries have been so inspiring. And I can't wait to see what you do next. I'm really excited. Like your son said, you can't just sit still. So I'm sure there are many more things that you're going to do. Thank you once again, Dr. Varghese, for your time and sharing your experiences with us today. We at Directors Institute wish you nothing but continued success in all that you aim for and your future endeavors.
I'd really like to thank you, Priya, for guiding me in the right direction to, help inspire other people. That is one thing that I really like to do. And I would like to thank Directors Institute also for giving me this platform, because I feel they are setting that stage for me to move to the next level. So that is something that I would really be thankful to them for providing me the platform to relearn everything that I have learned, build my experience, and provide that strategic and leadership advice to a wider group of people who need my knowledge. And I think one of the biggest advantage I have is that one, being a woman, two, being
Yes.
a finance person, three, being having an HR inbuilt in me, kind of helps manage a lot of situations which normally a finance person is not seen to do. Like wherever I've gone, one of the biggest compliments I've got is, oh my God, when we always thought finance was like that has been changing, and I'm really happy that I'm able to change that perception that finance are just number crunchers, and move more. They actually can help lead organizations to greater heights. And yes, that's something that I would always hold close to my heart. Yes.
And one thing what you said right now is women themselves should start looking at themselves as a strength and not get into a conversation or into a boardroom thinking that I am at a disadvantage, but go into thinking that you can bring so much more to the table and that being a woman is a strength. So thank you so much,
Perfect.
Dr. Varghese,
Thank
for
you so much,
speaking to
Priya.
us today. And with that, we end our interview today. We look forward to bringing more insightful stories and conversations from remarkable leaders in our upcoming sessions. Until then, keep learning, stay inspired, and continue to make an impact. Thank you.